Hello and welcome to Ultimate Speaker Community Presents our Speaker Spotlight. I'm your host, Christoff Weihman, America's favorite speaker empowerment coach. And I am so excited. It's been a little while since we have done our Speaker Spotlight, and she's already here on the stage. Usually I bring you up on the stage, but Enchantress Shane is already here. She is a mentor, a published author, a stage performer, a playwright, an artist, a mentor, a celebration expert. And the stage is where Shane, Enchantress Shane, comes alive. Please help me welcome to the Speaker Spotlight, Shane B. Coleman, known as Enchantress Shane. Hello.
Hello. Thank you.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
How are you feeling?
Oh, ecstatic. It's beach time. I live in a beach town. Everybody's happy. It's really nice.
I love it. I love it. You and I just started to get to know each other, and I'm so excited because, as I was saying before we actually started the broadcast, that not only are the listeners and the viewers going to get to know you, but I'm going to get to know more about you as well. So, starting off with, just take a few seconds, maybe a minute or two, couple minutes, and tell us about growing up. Where did you grow up? Where are you from? What were those early days like? Just a little overview for us.
Yeah. So I'm from Canarsie, Brooklyn, which is so fun to say. We're a special breed of people.
Canarsie.
Yeah, I'm firstborn in my family. My parents were born after World War II in Germany. So I was like, I'm a miracle. I'll just start out by saying that.
Wow.
Really special to be me as a child in my family. And I just was loved. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Canarsie, and it was pretty simple. I was always doing something. Like I had a reading class, a dance class, a this or that. Like we were always on the move in some kind of creative thing. And I was an only child till I was 6, and then my brother came along. You know, we had holidays. It was a really nice childhood. You know, it was like late 70s. So I grew up in the 80s with the best music, the best fashion. You know, subways here were like really dangerous. They were interesting, lots of character. And I was a pretty shy kid, but I really liked myself. Like I would be in the mirror. I loved myself. Yeah.
You were shy, but you had a performer inside of you.
Oh yeah, since I was born, I feel. Even there's a picture of me in like an old school baby carriage with a pink feather like laid on my body. It was so beautiful. But like if there was a group of kids playing, I wouldn't be like, I want to play too. I would like hang back.
So when did you start to blossom and come into this full expressive self?
Yeah, in my 30s.
Yeah.
Because like at a certain point around 12, like the self-loathing, probably 11 or even 8, I just really started to dislike myself tremendously. Like around puberty, I just went like a nosedive into self-hatred, and it was cool in Brooklyn to have big hair, but I was using it to hide. Like I have one very sad, like it's such a vulnerable sweetheart of picture, tough girl. But really I was just like, I'm sensitive. I feel a lot and I don't know what to do with it. So I didn't do anything. And I just had this like imploding self-loathing feeling till I was 32, 33. Yeah.
Wow. So you have a very keen sense of an exact time when
Oh yeah. Well, I
started to
met my
happen.
first yes, I met my first teacher and I just was like, what? I have to do this every week. Like, this is the class for me. I dropped everything. Socialization, 100%. Friends, bye. I just went to class. And I've never been so committed like that in my life.
What kind of class was it?
So it was an improvisation acting class.
Ah.
but it was about saying no. So it was very dramatic, and it was way more than just like, I want to be an actor. It's like, I want to be a really integral part of society and community, and like really live in an open-hearted way. And my teacher, she's an angel. And I just thought everybody hated themselves. I was like, don't we
Oh,
all just like judge ourselves, complain, be miserable, don't leave the house? Like, and a lot of people I knew were like that. But then I learned like it doesn't have to be like that.
uh, interesting. So what threw me is I've done improv. We have this in common: a performer and acting background. I lived in LA for a dozen years pursuing the acting dream. And what I understand in my experience of improv, it's about saying yes. This is very interesting.
Yes.
This class was about saying no.
And I'll tell you, the magic of that is when there's a relationship on the stage and two people care about each other, and one person asks for something and the other person says no, it's dramatic and it pulls people in. They lean in their seats, right? And there's no competition. There's no like, yes, and because that's a topping exercise that keeps you separate. And the dramatic piece brings you together. And it's magic. And also our psychology doesn't want to be in confrontations.
Mm-hmm.
So this is being real with real emotions in an imaginary set of circumstances, which gives the emotional muscle room. Oh, I could be as angry as I want, and there's no repercussions, just an expression. The pretty much the agreements where you can't touch anybody. Like you have to, be on this. And what I created was like, you can't mess this up and you can't get in trouble. And when I got to release those two things through a practice, I got set free.
Wow. What was your intention for joining? What attracted you to it first? Was it just your love of theater and the arts, or because you knew something inner could possibly come about as a result?
I wasn't into self-development yet. I was doing yoga, meditation, but I was like, do I look skinny? Is this, I was in a different mindset. And my friend invited me. At the time I was working with children with autism, and so was she. So we knew each other. And she said, come do acting. I was like, oh, I love to be on stage. I like, I want to be seen. It's fun. I like my hair today. Like it's like I was still a teenager in a lot of ways. And then I went to class and I got feedback for the first time in my life. And my teacher was like, that was great. Like, you're in Sex and the City. Like, everyone will think you're like, fun and pretty. She's like, but what's really happening for you? I don't remember her exact words. And then I was like, what do you mean? Don't you like me? Kind of thing. So that's where I started to open up and use different emotions that I had never had access to.
You mentioned earlier you're a sensitive person. You always knew you were a sensitive person. Is this also because you're quite you are a myriad of things, as I'm learning. You are some polar opposites of things in the same person.
I love contrast. Yeah.
You are a body of contrast. You have a master's in education and special education.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us kind of the path of where everything kind of all started and coalesced.
I love this question because I forget to talk about this stuff. Like, I was like this good little Jewish kid, and I went to college, and I started out being having marketing major. I like shopping. I'm really good at it. And
that's not what marketing is. No, I'm kidding.
Oh no, but you're right. And there was no guidance. There wasn't like
you were going to do the market research, which is going to doing the shopping, right?
Marketing to me meant shopping. I don't know where I got that idea, but I'm not a numbers gal. It was horrible. And I switched to education the biggest common denominator is I'm not averse to taking risk. I follow what feels right. And I pretty much always learn from it, and I'm not always positive, but
Mm.
I know how to get back there and I know how to deep dive into what's uncomfortable. And what I did with kids was so much easier than anything I've ever done. Like they were really innocent, they were really impulsive, and they were really in their true behavior. And I really love them. They play, I play, we get each other's language. And then the special education piece came because that's what was offered at the school. And it was like the right dates, or I was like, that sounds cool. And yeah.
What attracted you to special education? Was there a family member or somebody that you were close to that you said, "Oh, I would love to work," because you have such a connection with someone?
I mean, I can maybe make that story, but no.
No.
Okay, so in retrospect, I could say I was a really special kid with a lot of sensitivities. I was in trouble a lot, and I was really smart, and I really knew that I was a problem for teachers because I made them see the truth and they didn't like it. And I knew I was special, but I knew I was uncomfortable in my life. And so on some level, I attract what I am, right? So I felt like, but it wasn't profound. It was just like, I have to get a master's within a certain amount of years. This school is cool. And they were offering a dual master's. And I was like, sure. It was not deep on any level. But that's where I feel like I'm guided. Like I said, I was a miracle. Like my parents were born after the Holocaust. All my grandparents are Holocaust survivors.
Wow.
And so I'm here.
Right.
It was a miracle. And so I feel super guided. And I know I've been told in different predicaments, like I'm here to celebrate for the people in my family that didn't make it, that didn't get a chance to celebrate and didn't get it. So I follow my footsteps. I trust myself immensely. And all of this came from the acting class, because if you can trust yourself on stage, can I say the word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, one of the things my teacher would say is if you're full of shit in life, you're full of shit on stage. And if you're a great integrity type of person in life, then that's what you're going to be on stage. Acting is not da 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 da. It's like being real, giving people your truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's freedom. Otherwise, I have to hold it and it sits in my shoulder. Or so I forgot the original question, but it's like, oh, but the idea of putting yourself out there and being witnessed and being seen is where the peace is. I don't know. It's just where everything is, and it helps move the trauma through.
Very interesting. Yeah. What you just said about acting, I also know is true about money. It makes you more of who you are. If you're a jerk, you'll be a bigger jerk the more wealth that comes your way, because you have more opportunities to express yourself in your jerkiness. If you're a kind and loving and giving person, that's going to be amplified and magnified. That's exactly what you were saying happens when someone is on stage. You magnify and amplify and spotlight more of who you truly are.
Yeah, you're present. Yeah.
You've done so many amazing things. You were telling me yesterday about a period of time when you had a project that might be rebirthed again, but for a period of time, you were doing this thing called the Mindful Action Project, which I think is just brilliant. Do you want to give us a little taste of what that is all about?
Oh my God, so much joy. It's so beautiful. So I ended up, my friend's daughter was like, you want to teach yoga at this place? It's a treatment facility. And for some reason, I got jazzed about it. I don't know why. Again, one of those things. And I started teaching yoga. And then at the time, it was around that time I started class. I was already head over the world into how it's efficiently healing and joyful all at the same time. And then I started working with kids with autism. And then I was integrating the work into that. And then I ended up at this place teaching yoga to incarcerated youth.
Wow.
I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And then I was already in the improv class and I was like, they need that work. So I don't know. I talked them into me teaching that as well, except I never taught it before in my life. And they weren't the easiest students. So I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So my teacher, it was very far. It was like deep in Brooklyn. She was on the Upper West Side. And I talked her into coming and working with the kids. And it was amazing. And she, she's from California. She's tiny. And they just listened and they did all the things. And I learned on the job how to do that. And then at some point they were looking for a teacher. They had a sign up. They didn't know who I was. I was like the yoga teacher on the weekends. I go, I'm actually an educator. I'd love to come every day and fill the classroom teacher role. They were like, who are you? I'm like, I have a degree in special education. They're like, I mean, probably more formal, but they were like, sounds good. Just come on in, whatever. And they just shined my heart. I like worked with God and I was just like, this is fun. And I loved what I was giving them. I was fascinated with the work for myself. So I was happy to give it to them. And they're 13 to 18 years old. They're open. They're like a sponge. And so we would do acting scenes. We would do games. We would do all these things. And they were just thriving. And I was like, this is amazing. And it just became, I don't even know. Like these kids were great. They were like, all right, I want to go. They'd get on the stage and they had stories of adversity that will break you. And they would get into they would just tell the truth. They would do their thing. And you're like, how'd I do? I'm like holding in tears, like, oh my God, what are we going to do with you? It's amazing. It's just healthy. It's healing for them. They want to tell the truth.
Yeah. And like you said, they're open. They haven't been completely jaded from things yet. Interesting, last month, April was National Autism Awareness Month. Most people who know me and know my wife, we produce live speaker events, and we always support nonprofit organizations every time we do anything. In fact, I'm writing an email today. I'm sending out just talking about the joy of giving and supporting organizations like that. And our last event, our featured nonprofit was an organization called the Collaboration Center here in Las Vegas. They have a ranch where families can bring their children. They provide resources for families that have any kind of developmental disabilities or special abilities. And then the other night, have you ever seen the TV show The Good Doctor?
I've heard of it.
So the one of the stars on the show is a person who is a gentleman who has autism.
Oh.
And his name in real life is Freddie Highmore. And on the show, his name is Sean. They just showed the finale, and it was just so. I told my wife I'm gonna go back and play it again and record the last 10 minutes.
Ah.
It is so so heart touching and impactful, and this kid is brilliant.
Yeah,
on the show, and he ended up being the chief of surgery and his career on that show.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it's still, and they started a foundation, which I'm sure may exist, or at least it's breaking ground for in real life. But having a school, a surgical school or a foundation for surgeons with neurodiversity. I don't even know if I have the right terminology because I'm not an expert. But when I watched it, oh my gosh, and the scene that I'm talking about at the very end, he's giving a TED talk. This kid, this guy, Sean.
Yeah, these are things I have a hard time stopping to talk about. Like there is so much inspiration and truth, and they could really heal the world. And I don't say that lightly, but they're not they're like, they take away the filter of social niceties. Not everybody, it's a spectrum, but it saves
Sure.
so much time and BS that it's just like, boom. They
Yeah.
taught me how to be present. Like, oh my goodness, I can go into stories on this. And the idea is there is something uncomfortable about the way people with autism are, because they're very transparent and truthful, and that
Yeah.
makes people uncomfortable. But not me. I'm like, yeah, let's be in what's really happening here. And it's magic. I don't know how else to say it, but you actually feel the connection.
Yeah. That in that show, the young man, there was one doctor that fought for him because the other
Mm,
doctors didn't want him, because people were impatient with the way that
yeah.
he communicates and the way that he processes things. And then at this last season, he had a new intern female who was a mirror image of him, but he didn't see it. He said,
Yeah,
she's too hard to
interesting.
train. She's too hard to teach. She doesn't
Well,
pay attention.
yeah.
It's so interesting. I really encourage anybody, if you've not even watched The Good Doctor, check out the show. It's so amazing. Shane, you have a lot of different things going on. Right now, you have a program that you are
Yes.
enrolling people in. Tell us a little bit about that and how they can connect with you also.
Great. So it really ties into what you just shared. Like, now I work with people who have diagnosed themselves with all kinds of different things, but I say that with a little bit of levity because,
Mm-hmm.
COVID put us in a time when we got to really look at ourselves, and people are more, sometimes I say sensitive, but or hyper aware, and it's a special breed of people, and we're superheroes. So I run the Trust Club membership. It's for women who are multi-passionate, who want to have a more juiced up life, but also who have big emotions, and are not always comfortable in, talks about money. They're not always comfortable putting themselves out there. And I've learned tricks, through acting, through stand-up comedy, through all the different workshops and certifications. And my, risk reward in all the things I've signed up for gives me this, like, what we call chutzpah, like courage to do things even when I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I see so many amazing men and women. This group is just for women, but I work with men who are like amazing, but they're like, nah, I don't really know how to talk about it. I'm not gonna. But some people who are like that say, I'm done. I'm done hiding. I want to be out there. I don't know how to do it. I don't really trust they don't say they don't trust themselves, but at the core, that's what it is. Because if you trust yourself, even when you mess up, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And that's what even our connection, you mentioned a few times in different ways. You are, of course, I mean, you have a master's, so clearly you do have the left brain going on for sure. There's no way around it, right? That's, the logic, the linear thinking, the educate, all of that. But at
Enough.
the
I
same
have it
same
enough. Yeah.
enough, at the same time, it's the artistic side, the intuitiveness, the being aware, connected, in tune. And what
Yeah.
I think is so awesome, one of the things I see that's awesome about you is that you do trust. I mean, that's a great word, trust. You trust yourself, you
Thank
trust
you.
your gut, and then you bring it out and you act on it, you go forward, you create something. I would like you to just take a couple minutes and just kind of talk about that. Take a few minutes and share with us, with the audience, about this whole idea that is at the core of who you are.
Yeah. Well,
Not to
lately,
put you on the spot, but
I mean, I love it. Celebration is something that is a skill, and not everybody has that skill, and not everybody is comfortable in the spotlight or celebrating themselves. And so it's really easy in our culture to get married, have babies, put the focus on them. And that is lovely, but there's a way that people hide from being celebrated, from sharing their mission, their voice, their passion, from self-expression by saying like, let's celebrate that person. And I like to think about when people sing happy birthday, there's a little video I usually share. There's a girl turning 2. She's turning 3 from 2. And everybody starts to sing to her and she's like, happy birthday. They're looking at her. And then she looks around and everyone has their phone up and she starts to like, her shoulders go forward and she looks down. It's like overwhelming. And so as sensitive beings, when you get all attention on you, it makes people shrink. It makes people do funny things. It makes like, it's uncomfortable, not for everybody, but for my people, there's something that can be learned there. And when you trust yourself to make decisions, you trust yourself to say, okay, don't sing, finish, or you trust yourself to put your shoulders back and really let in the praise. But I don't know about you, but growing up, there was a lot of shame in getting attention. It's like in Brooklyn, it was like, you're conceited. That was a big one. You're conceited. It's so good, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I was maybe in first grade when I learned the word conceited.
Yeah. Why do we know
that? How in the hell is a 6-year-old or whatever supposed to know what conceited is? I was told, wow, you got me, Shane. I was told by my parents, by my mom.
Oh, wow.
You're so conceited. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm a speaker coach, speaker empowerment coach. I find that most people have one of two extremes. Something happened when they went to speak. Maybe they gave a speech in class and they stuttered or they choked. And so they were ridiculed, or like my good buddy Gordon, who's been with us for 3 years, been through all of our programs, all of our trainings, and on our stage so many times. He was daydreaming. The teacher called on him. It was a simple question. He knew the answer, and what? The question was, how many seasons are there? And he's 2, 3, 2. Oh, the kids laughing at him, and the teacher laughed at him.
Yeah.
Called him stupid, called him space cadet. So there's that side, or there's the others, which I think might have been me and you. I was told to shut up and sit down. Stop. You have a big mouth. And guess what? Today, I get paid because I have a big mouth.
Wow.
We've turned it from pain, and I didn't know it was pain, but I guess that word conceited. I mean, you ask 100 first graders conceited, at least not back when in my day, that was not a normal word, but.
Yeah, same. I was in trouble for talking all the time. And now I say that all the time, and now I get paid for it. But instead of dealing with me, first of all, I learned I was a verbal learner. So I'm actually learning, and they would put me out of the classroom in the hallway where there's no learning going on. And I was in this gifted and talented program, and it was just really uncomfortable, structured and sitting. And I have a lot to say about schools. That's why I don't work in schools anymore. It's really to watch children be squashed is painful. And there's no time for kids to cry. There's no time. It's like factory worker training. So I'm really good at modifying. So all of my clients, my adult, mainstream clients, regular people, you can't fail because I can always modify. It's not like, oh, go make 10 videos and they can't do it. It's like you fail. It's okay. Well, make a video pointing at something else. Like there's ways to modify everything. So my special ed is always with me. And why aren't we all special? Like, duh. Just checking.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had a thought and it moved away. Where did it go?
Yeah, I understand.
About when getting in trouble. So I told you, I loved the fact that we're going to be doing this so early in our connection
Yeah,
together.
me too.
I used to get in trouble, especially in grade school. I was super smart. I was super, super smart. And I used to get in trouble because I would always be the first one to finish my test.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in the early grades, so like probably like first, second, third grade. And I had a kind heart. I still do. I didn't always. I did, then I didn't, and now I do again.
Yeah.
But here's what I got in trouble for. As soon as I was done, I would walk around and see if the other kids needed help.
It's the normal thing to do, right? It's like brotherhood, being of service.
But like you were saying, is the education system isn't set up to, obviously I was gifted, so why not give me a responsibility? No, you can't give them answers, but when Johnny is done over there, you can collect the test. Give the child something and some opportunity and mold that creative genius instead of just like you said, squashing it. It's interesting.
I mean, that's kind of what the Mindful Action Project is. I think I left that trailing, but just to say that it's connecting court-involved youth with entrepreneurs that the kids are actually interested in learning about.
Skills and knowledge and things that they have a passion for. Like you gave an example, kids were going and helping movie directors in editing.
Yes.
That's amazing, right?
Amazing. No one would ever know. The kid won't even know he was good at that. But editing, splicing, lining up sound, and that's a lot of patience. It's not my skill. And we're like, okay, it's time to go. And he was like, no, let me just finish this thing. And I'm like, let him finish. He wants to do something, And
we do have much in common, and we are all about providing platforms and helping people shine their light and empowering speakers to share their greatness. I know that we're going to do so much amazing stuff together. That's a technical word, amazing stuff. Yeah. We can clearly talk for a long time, and we wanted this to be kind of an introduction teaser kind of interview. More to come. Couple thoughts, questions. So you have a moniker for yourself, Enchantress. Give us a little background of what that is and where is that from?
So it's inspired by Stevie Nicks. I love her a lot. She's amazing. And what Enchantress means to me is like I leave every person, situation, location better than when I found it. I can show up and there's joy and energy, and I'm generous with it, and I'm generous with being discerning about where I spend time. So it's not good when I'm bitter or resentful, and it happens. And then I know like, oh, I've spent too much energy. But when I'm full and when I'm happy, everyone benefits. So I love showing up with intention, with intentionality and pleasure and fun and joy and play. Those are the most important things in the world for every soul, for every being, and every religion, every background is love, to feel loved and relaxed and creative. Everything else is a mess, is chaos, and we need to work through it. Why? To get to more joy and love. And that's my full-on belief.
I love it.
And that's Enchanted. Awesome. That's when you show up in the forest and there's garbage on the floor, you pick it up, you take it with you. When the bathroom at a beautiful restaurant is messy, you pick up some things, you clean up and you leave. Like, it doesn't have to be a big deal. You just go around being a good person, going a little bit out of your way. But that sounds really easy and fun, but you can't do that unless you're full.
True. Yeah. I am a believer in affirmations. I believe in the power of our words, the things that we say, the things that we listen to, the things that we declare.
Yeah.
I like to end interviews by asking a question.
Okay.
The question is, what is your I am statement or I am affirmation? And it could be something that just comes to you at this moment. It could be something that you always say because that's what you embody. So I am, and then finish your I am affirmation with the phrase, and my gift to the world is blank.
Okay. Well, I want to keep it simple. Like, I am love, and my gift to the world is joy.
I love it. I love it.
Simple. Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Well, they can go to Google and type my name and see what they feel like cooking.
See what pops up that they resonate with. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's easiest. It depends what you're looking for. If they want to stay in hiding, they can binge lots of content. If they want to talk with me, they can come into my groups. But make that part of the journey. Like, if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I feel a little more alive, like, don't walk away from that. Don't get back into the TV, into scrolling. Like, do an outreach and tell me, what did you get from being here with us today? Like, we really actually want to know.
Yeah.
We're not just doing this, we
Right.
have a lot of reasons, but to know what you're taking from it means all the world. How are you going to impact your people with information that you got, that you're going to turn into something for yourself? It's not just like TV.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So good. So good. Enchantress Shane, behaviorist and celebration artist. Celebration of self is a skill that can be learned.
You're such a good listener. Thank you.
I am a good listener and a good note taker. If ever we're on an interview and I'm looking down, I'm not texting my friends. I am taking notes.
Great.
All right, Shane, you get the final word.
Peace. For real. Peace.
Right.
Peace.
All right, friends, this has been our Speaker Spotlight. I'm your host, Christoff Weihman, America's favorite speaker empowerment coach. And remember, your message matters, and somebody is waiting for you to show up in a bigger way, in a stronger way, in a more powerful way, just like Shane is. God bless you all, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.